let's go straight into some I Chin Ching. So grab your mat. We're going, priority on these is getting the hip flexors open and connecting from, pushing through the back, connecting through the hips. So we're going to do a couple of these and then one last, a little more challenging. So first one we're going to do, I think you can see me, is just going to be the upward bow, meaning I put my feet underneath me, I lay my head on the ground, and I'm just going to drive my hips up. Priority being like pushing through the SI joint, pushing the feet down into the ground, and trying to just pry your hip flexors open. Let's pause, let's just hold this for like 10 nice slow breaths. Nothing too intense yet, but really thinking, okay, trying to feel my hip flexors, trying to push through the SI joint on the bottom, lifting that forward. Keep knees toward each other. Don't let them splay out too far. Imagine maybe you're like squeezing a block between your knees. Okay, 2 more breaths. Really push in and open up the hip flexors. And settle back down. Come up to seated. And put your feet out in front of you. So now we're going to make it harder and do the upward plank. So we're going to be trying to get the spine straight. So you're going to need to open through the chest, but not jam the ribs forward here. Pulling the head back. And you can even release the head back on this one. Just depends on if that's okay with your neck. And we're going to drive the hips up as we push the heels down, push into the hands, and then try again to push through the SI joint, open across the chest, and let the head drop back. But the priority being SI joint pushing through the hip flexors. Try that for 10 I Chin Ching breaths, meaning nice, slow exhale. So inhale up. And you can even make the hissing sounds, which helps keep you focused. Try to get open across the chest, drive the shoulders down. Three more. All right. Come down. Ooh. If you want, you can do an easy forward fold, which of course is letting the hip flexors relax and get shorter. But I think for most of us, the hip flexors are already short anyway because we sit all the time. So, we don't really need to try to allow them to release this way too much. Really, most of us need to try to get the hip flexors open. So now come up onto a knee. have your front leg pretty far in front of you, like wider than a 90-degree angle here, because we're going to move forward. Back leg is down, weight is on the knee, and we're going to actively pull this knee forward as we drop. We pull this one hip flexor open and drop it down and forward. So first, let's just passively stretch it. Just let it open and just let yourself passively kind of sink down into it. Don't let your back go too far forward, because we want the upper body to kind of be helping sink into the hips to open up into that hip flexor. So just relax here for about a minute and just feel the hip flexor pull open passively. Or just try to let the hip flexor become passive. You can kind of reset it, make sure it's going right into the hip flexor. Okay, come back up. Hello, yeah, thank you. So now we're going to actively try to pull this back leg forward. And we're going to squeeze that for 3 breaths, release it, let it open, push it actively forward for 3 more breaths, release it, let it open, and then 3 more breaths. So during the 3 breaths, you're actively driving forward into that hip flexor by imagining that you're pulling this back knee forward in space. So keep it active. Don't just let it be a passive push. I'm actively pulling this back leg up, which keeps me connected through here, and then I drive it forward into the hip flexor. Here we go. First set of 3 breaths. Drive it forward. Inhale. Okay, relax, let it open. And pause. And then now we're going to drive wherever you got to. We're going to drive into that. 3 breaths. Inhale. Go. Make sure the back knee is pulling forward. Okay, release. Let it go passive. See if you get a little bit lower. If you're getting too far over your front knee, just scoot your front foot forward. And final set. Wherever you get to, now push in that position. Inhale. And release. Oh, wow, okay. Let's come back. And switch sides. Super important part of getting our quad open and mobile. So we just, and I feel like it's kind of the one that's chronically tight and short on most people, because we almost always are all sitting. So I think it's just like a really important one to focus on. So first, of course, just let it passively start to open. Start to feel your range of motion through this area. Okay, so you're actively pushing the knee down into the ground. Come forward to wherever it feels natural. And let's begin 3 breaths of actively pushing into that hip flexor. Inhale and go. Okay, release. See if you found any extra space. And second set, inhale. Oh, okay, release. Final set, inhale. Release. And come out of it. Oh, if you can. All right. Switch back to the first leg, final one. So one of our I Chin Chings is actually the front split. Obviously, a big component of this is getting this back hip flexor open. That's usually kind of the main inhibiting factor. So we're not going to really worry so much about the just getting into a passive front split. I want you to get into a place where you can hold yourself up. So again, I'm pulling forward through the back hip flexor, and I wiggle my front foot out on the heel wherever I can get it. And we're going to do 3 breaths where I push both feet down into the ground as if I'm trying to like scissor my legs closed through the ground. So I'm front heel is driving down and in, back knee is driving down and in, and I'm pulling together through the groin. And then after 3 breaths, maybe see if you get a little extra space from your front foot, wiggle it out, and we'll do 3 more breaths. So we'll just do 6 breaths on each side here. So wherever you're at, begin to drive the front heel down, the back knee down, and let's do 3 breaths. Okay, relax. See if you can walk the foot out a little more and still maintain this upright posture. If you can't maintain this, just go back to a higher posture that you can maintain. Here we go. Last set. Inhale and pull together as hard as you can. And release. So you should feel like one hip trying to drive forward and one hip trying to pull back on those. Ooh, okay. And switch legs. Again, bring that back leg forward as far as you can get it, and then see where you can put the front foot and maintain the upright sit without having to put your hands on the ground. Okay, so start thinking about pulling the back hip forward, down through the knee, and the front heel drives into the ground, and you're sucking that leg back and in as if you're trying to twist your hips. My right leg is forward. I'm trying to twist my hips to the right. So here we go. 3 breaths. Inhale, pull. Okay, release. See if you can walk the heel out a little more. Second set. Inhale and twist the hips. Oh, and release. And come back up to standing however you can. Okay. All right, kind of march these out. This is a good exercise to get your SI joint back in place. Like if you have pain in the SI joint, this is like a good way to do that. But also it's good for our hip flexors. Kind of knead them out a little bit.